Sure. Um, Excited about getting going. It's been a very good off season. We needed a good off season. Ended last year on a high note, but with a lot of injuries and a lot of stuff going on, and part of our off season was to really, as a coaching staff, rededicate ourselves to exactly what we're trying to do, to make sure guys understand that, make sure we're all on the same page, to continue to cultivate the leadership which has been outstanding here over the years. And commend our guys for understanding that and taking that very seriously. I think we have a very healthy team right now physically. I think we have a very healthy team-wise, team leadership-wise, and excited about getting going and getting into game one. All the typical game one feelings for me anyway are I have an idea of what our team is, but you never know until you play real football games. So practices have gone well. They've been competitive, been physical. We practice smart, though. It's not like the old days. We haven't, no 2 days, et cetera. But I think we found a way to grind, found a way to make it difficult so our guys can push through it. And at the same time, game one is going to present big challenge, in particular where we need to make the biggest improvement on our team on the offensive line. We've got a defensive line coming in that is big, they're long, they're physical, they play with relentless effort, great technique. So that's a big challenge. I think on the offensive side as well. I think KJ, we're taking care of him a little bit this training camp. Make sure his arm's not too sore, doesn't throw too much. But I think the last week and a half he's kind of been right back in there where we need him to be for this game. A lot of newer guys, young guys filling roles, and that's kind of shaking itself out, although we'll compete throughout the season. I think we've got a good group of guys that are ready to go in all the skill positions. Defensively, a little less experience than we've had in the past, but at the same time, I think we've got maybe a good group of athletes, maybe as good a group as we've had in a while, but a lot of guys that are still gelling together. And once again, talking about our opponent, it's a team that knows exactly who they are and who they want to be. Very versatile on the offensive side. Different tempos, different schemes. So for us, it's not just about what they do. It's about making sure our guys know their rules, play with outstanding effort and attention to detail. They're always going to be ready to adjust. They've got two really good quarterbacks. Who knows who's going to start, but that's not going to be our concern. Our concern is going to be on playing our defense and playing to the best of our ability. Special teams wise, we got a lot of new guys, a lot of young guys, some older veteran guys, but got a bunch of guys we're going to roll out on Saturday that haven't played a lot of college football. We expect them to play hard and play fast, do their jobs and do them well. And excited for Saturday and can't wait to get going. I thought I'd answered all the questions. I thought there were going to be no questions. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Consistent identity under Pat there. You expect that to be the same no matter who's the quarterback?
There's no question about it. Since got to know Pat over the years, and that team is going to be what they've crafted it to be. And whoever plays quarterback is going to be, if they play multiple quarterbacks or one guy, they're going to use what that guy does well. And I've always kind of watched them over the years because I have a lot of respect for Coach Fitz. And they're offensively, they're going to kind of morph to what the quarterback does well, which is what all coaches do. They're not going to make him stay in a box and just play their offense. They have enough variance in their offense to accent whatever strengths the quarterback has. So I anticipate that happening, whoever the guy is going to be or multiple guys, it doesn't matter. But they have a wide variety of things that they've been good at over the years. So once again, the biggest thing for us is going to concentrate on our assignments, our techniques, and our effort.
Are you suspecting it can be one way or the other?
Haven't given any thought to it. Doesn't affect anything at all. We can't spend time worrying about who's on the other field, who's on the other side of the field. Our jobs are to know what to do and to do it full speed.
Obviously, the running back was pretty productive in the last half of the year. What do you think?
As a college football fan, he's fun to watch. Guy plays hard. And what you love about watching good running backs is he breaks tackles. There are guys that get what the plays are blocked for, and there are guys that always get more than what it's blocked for. He's one of those guys. If it's blocked for 5, it's going for 8 or 10. Or if he breaks that last tackle, then it's going for 20 or 30. And no surprise come from this program, but you see toughness and you see effort. I think he's faster than people give him credit for. He's got a chance to be a big play running back, and I anticipate him being even better than he was last year. It's hard to calculate how important that is. Is vital too soft a word? Once again, can our quarterback go in there and play a game and drop back 50 times and throw? Absolutely. Is that what we want to do? Absolutely not. We need to be more balanced. We need to be better, more consistent up front than we were a year ago. Hopefully we'll be more healthy than we were a year ago so that we can have the same lineup for a while and not switch lineups every week. And once again, hopefully we stay healthy in the running back field. Our running backs injuries last year combined with our offensive line injuries combined with our tight end injuries were difficult to manage. So for us, we got to be healthy. I think we have a good idea of the things that we want our guys to do and what they're good at. Us to being able to establish the running game, to be consistent, and still have the ability to be explosive on top of that. But the biggest thing is to be consistent and be able to balance out our offense a little bit so that we can be a team that runs and throws with the same amount of efficiency and explosiveness. Impossible. Well, curious is the biggest word. I talked to a couple of guys this week. That's the way I always am first week of the year. Eager to get out there, but at the same time curious because I've been here for a while, been coaching for a while, and a lot of times you get through training camp, you've got a good idea of who you're going to be, and 3 weeks into the season, you realize we can't be that, we got to be something else. So for me, I'm excited, I'm eager, but at the same time I am curious to see, okay, here are the things that we worked on, here are the things that has nothing to do with Northwestern. It has to do with us. Here's what we worked on, here's what we're going to emphasize. Can we do it with sufficiency? Can we do it and consistently go out there and perform? Or do we need to make changes and augment what we do? Like our playbook, the things we can do is huge, but I don't want to live that way. So we've got a pretty narrow idea of how we want to be, running the ball, throwing the ball, using our protections, et cetera. Once we start playing, and typically for me it's not just game one, it's really the first 3 games or so, you really get a good idea of who you have a chance to be. So that's what I'm looking for starting that process.
When we talked to you last week, you mentioned that you said that everyone who was banged up would lead off to the game. Do you have any updates on the injury front?
Yeah, we're pretty healthy.
And I guess maybe specifically Osiris, Cindy, Debbie,
All up and ready to go. Yeah, Osiris has practiced for the last few weeks and looks great. We were curious about Simi. Got banged up during training camp. Completely cleared. Practiced last night. Looks great and ready to go. Devry has been practicing since the end of last week. Feels good. These are guys that will help all the way through the week and make sure that they're ready to go. And preparing, honestly, to not put 70 plays on them or how many plays we play and be ready to rotate some guys. So biggest thing for me is those 3 guys in particular, they're all healthy. They've all shown signs that they can do everything that we need them to do. And now it's up to us to monitor their volume.
Coach, your freshman running back usually goes a lot of snaps in camp. Just curious where they are in terms of progressing the offense, pass defections, or reliability for big snaps.
We'll see how much we utilize those 2 guys, what they showed us in training camp, because we had a couple guys injured and a couple guys, had to miss a couple practices for different reasons. Those guys got a lot of reps, got a lot of experience, and both shown the ability to play this game at a high level. And so we'll see how the whole game plan shakes out. But I would anticipate at least one, if not both of those guys getting some touches.
And
Well, Trevor's the one guy in that two deep that'll be out. Trevor will be out this week. Dorian, if you had to point to one guy that's had the best offseason maybe on the entire team, you'd say Dorian Maddox. Was outstanding all the way through spring. Really, really pushed himself even through some, minor stuff over the course of spring, getting banged up, but pushed himself through that. And he's the quickest and most explosive that he's been since he's been here. He's earned a lot of respect on this football team, and I'm excited for his role to really have two veteran guys going into this game. Cameron Scarlett, who's in the best shape of his life as well. Excited to see him out there, and Dorian's best shape of his life, and then two young guys that we're going to bring along and see how well they see if they can help us during the course of the year.
What's your expectation for the playing time Stuart Head and Jacob Malik?
Will be out. Stewart will be out. Jacob will see significant time both on defense and on special teams. Dylan Powell is up. He's ready to go.
And the progress that Henry Gaddis has shown through training with the
Yeah, Henry's a big guy. He's a physical guy. Really had a good offseason last year and a good training camp. Was behind a couple of veterans and was hard to crack that lineup with those guys that are fifth-year seniors that you trust. And because of our injury issues and concerns last year, Henry played in some games at the end of the year and actually played well. Just played like he'd been practicing. He practiced well and he played well. So we went in this year knowing that we're going to have a good competition up there, and we still had some injury issues throughout the offensive line a little bit, not too bad in training camp. But Henry showed enough that he was physical, that he knew what to do. I think the communication up front, I think it's been outstanding. But once again, just much like Devery, we'll see how the game goes, and we still may rotate some guys depending on length of drives, depending on the heat, which looks like it's not going to be the hottest day. But we'll make sure first game of the year that we take care of our guys, especially guys that have missed significant time in the offseason.
Who are some of the other guys on the offensive line that you can see coming in is Walter Elson, Dylan, based on the two
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But those are two primary backups. Dylan can play any of the inside three positions. Walter's taking reps on both sides at tackle. So those two guys are going to be ready to go.
Henry, did you ask us before? Can you talk about the schedule? Is it toughest this week in the head coach role?
I think that's a question for after the season. Right now, we got one game to play, and all the schedule talk for me, that stuff stopped last week. I don't care about the schedule right now. We got one game to play, and we're just going to play this one.
What do you think about Malik Antoine, who's captain, right?
Antoine, yes. Yeah. Malik is one of those guys you look at, and you're just proud as a football coach that our process led us to a guy like Malik, who's a very good football player, but has outstanding leadership qualities, who garners the respect of his teammates through his words and his actions, has earned the respect of our staff, our coaches, and all of our football staff. He's just a guy that walks in every single day to improve himself and to improve the people around him. Couldn't find a better leader, better mentor for the young defensive backs to follow and just say, hey, we'll see what this guy does. Just do what he does. He's unselfish. He's charismatic, and he's serious about the work that he puts in. And excited. He's voted as a captain. I'm excited. He's on our team.
Speaking of leadership, we talked about that leadership council established in January. There's also a group of captains. How do you see the roles of those two groups? Things different or maybe the same?
Well, our captains will be our main spokesman of the team. They'll be the guys that are out front. We'll continue to lean on the leadership council for different decisions, things that come up. I've told them since day one that I believe in co-leadership. The best teams that I've ever been around is there's a combination of coach leadership and player leadership, and they work together to lead the football team. And when they're not on the same page, that's when you have trouble. And this group has been outstanding. They voice concerns about things. We've taken things to them and asked their opinion. We've solved some problems together. I think we're constantly, as football coaches in this new age, you have to constantly earn and re-earn trust with each other. That's just the world that we live in today. So to let them know that I value their opinions, and for them to understand also there are sometimes that I'm going to have to make the decision because that's my job, but that I'll do it with some input from them because I want to know how the team feels, and these are great representatives of our team. So I think as we go on, we'll continue to talk about the things that are important, whether I bring it to them or they bring it to me, and continue to be on the same page about the direction of the program.
Big news obviously on Saturday. Andrew Luck's announcement. What was your reaction to it? Did you reach out to you beforehand?
No, I think Andrew's got an outstanding small circle, which includes his father, his wife, his family, and a couple close friends. I was surprised just because I didn't see it coming. Had a chance to spend time with him before he left to go back to Indianapolis, and it's rare to see him in that mode of, boy, I can't wait to get going. He was excited, raring to go, and so hearing that was a surprise. And then once you understood the surrounding reasons for his decision, then completely understood. And as many of us around here have said, that there was no way that Andrew was going to be that guy that was, just dragging himself through year 18, 19, playing through 17 injuries just to play one more snap. This guy was going to play the game at the highest level for as long as he could. But he was also going to be one of those guys that wants life after football as much as he wants life with football. And he came to that point much earlier than many of us anticipated, or even if many of us wanted it to be. But he came to that point where it was time for him to stop, for his health, for his family, for his future. And I applaud him for it, to having the strength and courage to walk up to a microphone with all of those emotions, the emotions of a man and his family and a community and a football team and a city and the NFL, and present himself open was amazing. So I commend him. I can't wait to see what his next chapter is going to be. I imagine he's going to lay low for a while and try to get healthy first and foremost. And this is one of the brightest guys I've ever been around, one of the most genuine human beings I've ever been around, and a guy that's not just going to sit around and do nothing. So to talk in chapters about Andrew, because he loves to read, right? The one chapter is closed, and the next chapter is not going to be boring. The next chapter is not going to be something that you're not going to read. I'll order the next chapter. I can't wait to watch it unfold and watch Andrew Luck, the husband and father, and whatever else he fills his time with is going to be just as exciting.
Given the competitor he is, how difficult was for him to step forward? Do you think when he's getting better, he might have to desire to come back? Or
I'm not going to speak for Andrew. From what I know of him, when he makes a decision, he makes a decision, and he's taken everything into account, and he goes in a direction. And I would say 100% of the time he's been right. So I think he knows that and feels that. I think he's set himself on course that he is going to follow. And once again, I commend him for it.
Timeline-wise, when did you say that he left for Indianapolis? It was a month ago? Or?
It was right before training camp, the week before training camp.
And any specific memory of him in a Stanford uniform that you think back of?
We can spend the next 2 hours talking about those 4 years. They're just there's so many, and many of the ones for me are not on the football field. They're just getting to know a guy who is ultimately competitive and unbelievably talented, but also a great leader and a great teammate. So I think all those memories are all mixed in together. And I've had to do this for myself, and I'll do this for the room also. He's not dead, right? Everybody talks about him like these are eulogies. It's not a eulogy. Guy's done playing football. He's 29 years old. He's got a lot of life to live. He's got a lot to give this world that it's not going to be on a football field. So with the appropriate amount of sadness that we don't get to go see a virtuoso, right, which is what he is, but then also the eagerness and excitement to see what comes next for him, and selfishly for me, I'm excited that I still get to hopefully be a part of his life, and be a friend, and be a sounding board for that next stage of his life. So I'm excited for him.
How do you, sorry, Jim, what's your overall evaluation of your secondary right now?
We're in a good place right now. Paulson Adebo had a phenomenal year last year, and regardless of whatever stats happened this year, I think he's a better football player than he was last year. Smarter, more versatile, more experienced, and smarter because of his experience. He's been through a lot now. He loves to be pushed. Coach Keane has really pushed him. He's set his own standards for his performance, and I'm excited about where he is. I think we've got a couple of guys that have really grown a lot. The top of that list is Obi Ebo. We have a few guys that we could see out there playing corner for us, but Obi's had a really good offseason. Has taken that role very seriously, knowing that you're going to be opposite of a guy that's got a lot of publicity. So it's probably going to see more balls than he is during the course of a game. I think the group's got outstanding leadership. And Malik Antoine, which I mentioned earlier. Kendall Williamson was a little banged up on and off last year, and really a little banged up in training camp as well. He's back and healthy and looking great. He's got speed and athleticism and versatility that I think is intriguing. We have a couple other guys that may mix in there when we get to our nickel packages, et cetera. But as far as those top four guys, I feel really good about them. And I complimented them the other day. The most impressive thing about them right now is their communication. It is loud, it is clear, it is crisp. They are on the same page every single play. And I think our team, not just our defense, I think our team feeds off of that clear and concise and direct and loud communication. It's fun to be a part of.
You moved down a level to the inside linebackers. How big of a gap is there between Curtis Robinson and Andrew?
But there's a huge gap. I think we have multiple guys that can go out there and play. I anticipate Jacob will probably be the first one off the bench. I think in most games we play this year, we'll play more than two. I think we'll play 3 some games. I think we may play 4. Could even play 5. Those guys that you mentioned, they're all ready to play. They're all smart. They're all tough. They're all athletic. They can all do the job. So it'll be competitive through practices. It'll be competitive in games. And the guys that play the best will play the most.
About the same competition outside. It's like a clear top 3 with Casey Hill, but then Jordan Fox and Gabe Reed, but then there's also putting a lot on his thoughts behind.
Yeah. Toby and Andreas have shown some things to be able to get on the field there. Anthony Trin, I think, has been a good practice participant as well that we trust, has earned our trust. So there's a good chance we'll see a variety of guys play on the edge for us, both in base and in nickel. But I would say Gabe Reed is is like a starter in my mind. He's one of those guys that we trust implicitly, that's worked extremely hard, that's made plays in games, and has had a great offseason. So then we do have those three guys at the top, but at the same time, we're going to play more than those three, and hopefully, as the season progresses, you combine our outside linebackers with our inside linebackers. We get a chance to be a fun group to watch.
All good with that? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's open it up for questions for KJ. How do you feel about yourself and your new team going into week one?
I feel good. I think, I think we established an identity in training camp. I think going back-to-back days, I think we hit about 20 straight days of just football. You really start to see a new team emerge. I think, having Cam back in a fifth year, a lot of veteran experience back there in terms of protection, things that we changed last year. I think we had a really good feeling going into this year's camp. We had some good young running backs stepping up, and Austin and Nate, and Dorian. I mean, I think we got a nice running back by committee there. And the young wide receivers did an outstanding job. I've been telling you guys about them for a while, especially in spring ball. Mike had a great camp. Simi had a great camp. Connor, great camp, and Colby as well. So I think we have an identity in terms of what we believe it to be. I think we need to establish that on game day with this new group of guys, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. What is that identity? I mean, I think there's no doubt that we have to be a team that's willing to run the football. I mean, I think we're going to find different ways of being efficient on first down. We're always going to stick to our model of, being efficient on first and third down, and that starts with 4+ yards on first down. And whether that's running the ball or spitting it out on a bubble screen if they want to pack the box, we got guys like Connor and Mike that can run, and, they really showed that in training camp. I think we have a little bit different identity that I necessarily hadn't seen in my 4 years here in terms of really liking just getting the ball out, letting Mike and Connor and those guys go to work with the ball, finding different ways to be balanced. I think it's not necessarily just pound, play action. I mean, I think that could be our identity depending on week to week what team we play. But just thinking off the top about Northwestern, they're dedicating to stopping the run, no doubt about it, with the structure of their defense and how their defense coordinator designed that defense. So we're going to take what they give us, and hopefully, we kind of feel out and execute what we've been doing for the past month now. Yeah, I think we had a really, really good intermediate passing game last year, 15 to 30. In terms of Caden up the seams, Colby up the seams, and JJ, not necessarily running just go balls, but a lot of back shoulder type stuff. We've seen in practice, Simi taking the top off. We've seen Osiris do the same thing. We've seen Mike in the slot down in the red zone make some big plays. So I feel like we got guys running the exact same routes that maybe Colby would, but instead of just looking for a back shoulder throw, we might try and actually expose the guys down the field, which doesn't necessarily allow these, DBs to play bottom hip and expect that throw, which they started doing on the back half of the season. So I think, we got a little bit of versatility there that's going to help us a lot.
When you look compared to the level of comfort you had with Trent and JJ and Caden last year, how comfortable do you feel with this group of wide receivers? And how in sync are you guys going into the first game?
Yeah, very comfortable. I think it was great to get spring ball. I didn't get a spring, 2 years ago with a lot of those guys. I think they know the offense very, very well. We're not having to coach them up on any little things. Now it's coach them up on feeling the defense, and seeing exactly what I want, and also me opening up and listening to, what they see. I know every wideout sees the game a little bit differently. So working with Mike a lot and Simi, I mean, it's kind of funny because they don't have a lot of similarities as JJ and some of these other guys, but they do have some things that I'm not necessarily used to in terms of up the seam. They're trying to get an edge downfield, and that's been a throw that I've had to start working on a lot more that I was used to, previously coming into college. And I think that's going to help us a lot.
Are you gonna be less play patterns this year? To him, so.
I mean,
That's a big loss. He was
yeah, Bryson, congratulations to him, by the way, earning a scholarship a day or so ago. I think it was yesterday. Him and Mike are buddies, man. They just work extremely hard. I can't say anything outside of that. Super proud of him. I mean, Bryson had a great camp, running a lot of routes for us, even down in the red zone. He's another great target down there with Colby. Not saying anyone's going to replace JJ, but we're going to do some different things down there. But we still have the capability of letting Simi go make plays and letting Bryson make plays and Colby. So I'm not sure how exactly it's going to unfold, but I know that we have the ability to do so.
How well did you know Andrew Luck, and what was your reaction upon hearing the news?
I was fortunate enough to have lunch with him about 3 months ago. And it was pretty awesome for me. I mean, I told him I wasn't going to act like much of a fan after just admitting that I was a huge fan of his growing up. He's one of the main reasons why I decided to leave Southern California and come up here. I watched him play growing up. He was the first time I really started turning an eye towards Stanford. My mom had spent some time at SC, and a lot of my family members were at, so I watched a lot of SC football. And then when I started watching him, I got really interested in what was going on up here in Northern California. Huge fan. I mean, it's so funny. There's been so much news about him, but just looking at what he did here, I mean, nobody's ever going to touch what he did. I mean, in his 3 years, I just, 84 touchdowns, 9,000 yards. I mean, just won a lot of football games, did it the right way, set the standard for Hogan, Keller, me, Burns, all of us, and everyone to come. So, I mean, in terms of his decision, I mean, we all know he's a smart man. He did what was right for him and his family, and I know he's going to do something incredible next.
And you mentioned a couple of years ago not being able to have spring ball because you were trying to heal up. What mental toll does that take, personally on you? I mean, and how does that affect, just you? I mean, how you have to battle through that. It's not just physical, it's mental too.
Yeah, no, I think, rather than looking at it more as a mental toll, I actually saw it as a huge advantage for me to just take a bunch of reps and, watch Malik and all these guys through the entire snap, where normally I'm up there and, you're seeing bits and pieces of the defense, because you're trying to catch the snap and everything. So I was able to actually, see how the defense plays out. So I try to, couldn't play, but try to create a little bit of a mental edge and seeing things that I otherwise would never see from a good vantage point of being right behind the center. Injuries happen, man. I've been through a fair share. We all talk about it, but, you got to find a way to find an edge elsewhere. And for that spring ball, it was seeing the defense from a vantage point that I hadn't seen before. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I'd love to see it too. Number one, a lot of it's going to rely on me in terms of if I don't like something, working through progressions, boom, getting to the back. I mean, I told Cam, I'd love to see him have 30, 40 snags this year, just in terms of our philosophy on, hey, if you're checking and they're only bringing a 4-man hit, get out, Sometimes like a second delay in getting out, boom, I choose to run instead of, get it to my back. So it's definitely been a point of emphasis in the offseason. Cam has the great ability to do so. We've seen flashes with even young guys and Nate. Dorian's got great hands. So I think that's definitely something in terms of exhausting progressions, not forcing the ball. Got to get it to the back.
You had a great year last year, considering you had to throw a lot. Do you ever think that maybe coming in this year, you're not getting quite the preseason hype as a lot of other quarterbacks in the country? Do you ever take that and put like a chip on your shoulder type thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, just Stanford's pretty cool place in terms of, we're playing College game day, we're playing Notre Dame, we're playing SC. I mean, nothing changes. It's just unless I don't have cable. I ain't turning on the TV often, So I'm not seeing too much of what's going on. I'm trying to focus on my job, get a degree, work hard, hang out with my boys. I mean, it's crazy to say, but I mean, I don't really have much time to think about that. Obviously, do I go with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder to Oregon when I know, who everybody's been talking about? Of course, I think everybody would. I think this year, I try and always play with a chip on my shoulder, so not much is going to change. But I am going to try and, play with a passion and energy for my teammates.
When you look back at fall training camp, who were a couple of players on offense and on defense who stood up with you that grew the most from what they can?
Well, I think just starting on my side of the ball, I think Foster's had a great camp. I think Walker's done a great job leading these guys. Drew Dahlman is an established guy now. He's running the show there at center, and he knows his points. He knows what he's doing. We like to say if we're in the right play and the right point, we at least have a chance. That's all we're hoping for is to not shoot ourselves in the foot, and then we got a better chance at executing moving forward. Simi had a fantastic camp. Like I said, Mike Wilson, Bryson impressed a lot of people, obviously, earning a scholarship. And the two young backs, I know I mentioned earlier, but they had great camps as well, just flashes of speed, that can make that committee a little bit stronger. Who knows with the red shirt rule how much they're going to play. But, just across the board, I think we're going to get Devery back in there. I think Devery's going to be a huge part of this offense and allowing us to move the ball forward and pass pro. And Henry Haddis is going to be his first time starting for us. He's had a great camp too. So, I mean, a lot of guys have had flashes of greatness. We just got to put it all together.
A couple more questions available. What do you think about the schedule, especially the first 6 games?
Yeah. I was talking to Malik last night. We were thinking about our schedule and just thinking about how every week, like, our preparation doesn't change because every game's so big. At least in our eyes. First 6 games, and I mean, we got to play those first 6 games like our last 6 games of the season. If we want to win every game and go 1-0 each week, we have to feel as if we're executing like the back half of the season, the first 6 games. I think that's a theme for me. I remember playing a little bit different football, a little bit at a higher level the last 6 games, and I'm trying to do that in the first 6 games and have my teammates follow along on both sides of the ball.
What do you know about Northwestern's defense? What do you expect from them?
Yeah, well, watching tape for a good amount of time now, like I said, they want to stop the run. They play a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of 4 invert. They got that boundary safety down in the box. They really want to dedicate to stopping any sort of run. They're big, fast, physical, downhill. They're run fitting almost nearly at the line of scrimmage. 42 from what I heard is, All-American, et cetera, captain of the D. Big dude. Very experienced defense, 8 out of 11 guys coming back. They lost one big-time cover guy. Other than that, everyone's coming back. They know the scheme. They know it really well, and they execute at a high level. I see them as a lot like our offense, in terms of our philosophy. So I think it's going to be a good match in terms of who's executing at a higher level week 1.
Thank you, KJ.
Thanks, guys.
Well, he's not a lot of safety experience. Some guys equivalent in the past year, training yourself. Just your role with these guys and what you see from you guys in the next year.
Right, right now we have a lot of guys emerging from our group. Kendall Williamson, Noah Williams, J.J. Parsons, Stuart Head. Man, like this off season, we just spent a lot of time together. Whether that be in the film room for hours, just like going over our calls. Because first with our defense, you have to master our calls to be able to then move forward. So we just spent a lot of time together watching tape, and then also just putting work on the field. So I just see a lot of confidence through the end of camp from those guys. Man, they've worked really, really hard. Kendall Williamson, I think he's emerged as the guy that'll be beside me. But we just had a great camp. We worked hard together, and can't wait to see the final product. Right. It's just first game you don't know the tendencies. Like you have to go completely off last year too, and also you got a transfer guy that'll probably end up being the starter. So like you can't really get any pregame reads on who that like
what his tendencies are, is who's he looking for. So for us, it's mostly just preparing as much as possible in the way that like, hey, this is what they did last year. Let's try to confirm it on play one. You know, are they going to keep those same tendencies? Are they going to do the same thing? Or are we going to have to adjust on the fly? You know, so mostly it's just going into that game, just knowing what we have as defense. You know, knowing our jobs and being able to execute our jobs as best as possible, and just adjusting from that.
Coach Shaw was talking about how good the communication's been in the secondary
Yeah.
over the summer. How much of a premium is on that? And game one where you don't get scored early.
Right. So mostly it's just creating the ease in the back end. You know, even if you don't know exactly what's about to happen, but just communicating, talking to guys. You know, just to calm everyone down. You know, especially first game of the year, you really don't know what's gonna happen, but that communication serves as kind of like the ease and the calmness in the game. You know, so even though we might not know what's coming, it has to still be affluent because it just calms everyone down.
I'm most curious to learn about as a defense and as a team on Saturday.
I want to see how we fight through the 4 quarters. You know, this game is going to be a 4-quarter game, so I just can't wait to see how we fight. You know, I expect our team to just play from snap 1, snap 150, how many plays it is. You know, so I'm just excited to see the fight we have and just the grit we play with each other.
What does it mean to be a captain?
It's an honor, you know. I was just talking to KJ and some of the guys about just how far I've come since my freshman year here. You know, being a guy from Louisiana coming all the way out to a place like Stanford, you know, it's a huge honor to be recognized by your brothers. Because I tell them all the time, like they're my extended family. You know, I don't get to see my family much being out here, but those guys in the locker room are just my family. I just love those guys so much. So it's a huge honor to just be recognized by them.
You say a couple things on the remaining captains. I mean, not
Mhm.
just a few words.
Right, you know, so obviously KJ, he's a leader. He's just an aggressive guy. You know, he's always trying to win. He's also it's a workaholic. You know, he dives. Me and him are constantly having like mental battles, just watching tape. You know, even at practice, we kind of just playing these mental games with each other. You know, Cam Scarlett. You know, he's another guy. Been here for 5 years. Seen the ups and downs of the Stanford program. So he's just a guy that's resilient and just knows what it takes to be that team. Kobe Parkinson. We've all seen what he's capable of doing in the field, but his role he took this offseason is being a leader on offense besides KJ. You know, he's constantly pushing us as a team, but also he just does things right. You know, he's an extremely hard worker, and he's just ready to make that translate to the field.
Is it weird playing Stanford Stadium without the students, or have you gotten used to that by now?
Yeah, we kind of have gotten used to that mostly. You know, we kind of say that we don't really need any extrinsic motivation. You know, we kind of just let our play do the talking, let our play be the hype, be the intensity that we need in the game. You know, just being my 4th year here, I'm kind of used to like not having as loud as fans, as loud of a stadium arena to play in.
Is it weird playing a 1 o'clock game?
Usually the standard here. is
Right.
that
Yeah.
is.
Right. Yeah, I was talking to KJ about that. You know, you just kind of have to get the juices flowing earlier. You know, it's an earlier wake up. It's an early arrival to the stadium. So like, you just have to wake up in the mind and flip that mindset. Okay, hey, it's a game coming.
The preseason talk about Stanford kind of drawn and knowing why they was offense and then a lot of unknown on defense. What do you have to say to preparation of the defense and just these guys who are going to step up that they needed at the same time that first time?
Right. So as a defensive unit as a whole, I just been really just proud and just happy about how much we progressed over camp. You know, our linebacker core is deep. You know, from Jordan Fox, Casey Toohill, Curtis Robinson, who made the switch to inside linebacker, Jacob Megan-Farrar, Andrew Pritz, Ricky Maison. They've all just been flashing on through camp. You know, they're fast, they're physical, and they just love making plays. You know, so in our defensive line, you know, we have a lot of older guys come. That's kind of our oldest room right now. You know, Javon Swan, Mike Williams, Tomas Schaffer, Ryan Johnson. Those guys have just been playing well all camp too. So I'm excited to see the force they bring on Saturday. And then as far as the secondary group goes, you know, obviously everyone knows about Paulson. You know, he's still being Paulson. You know, making plays, being that spark on defense. A guy like Obi Ebo, who's come along to be the other corner with him, who's just been it's been holding up the standard. When guys don't want to try Paulson anymore at practice, they go at him, and he does the same thing. So I've been really happy to see him. And like I said before, Kendall Williamson, Stewart Head, Noah Williams, J.J. Parsons have all just been doing some great things at practice, playing well, just having fun. So as a defense, we're excited, because like I said, there are a lot of unknowns that people are saying about us, but we're excited because we know the preparation we've done, we know the work we put in. We're just excited to let it show on Saturday.
The way the game has evolved sort of in the past few years, and the way some of the rules are being enforced these days, it seems like the balance of power is being tipped towards the offense. What are some of the challenges that you face being a defensive player in the
Right.
way you play
Right.
football?
I think the RPO has changed the game, as in the run pass option is like at any given play, the quarterback can sense the linebacker jumping up too fast, and he just toss the ball out. So I think that offenses nowadays have become way more balanced than they have been in the past. You know what I'm saying? So like there are a lot of more keys nor reads that you have to make on defense. You can't do much guessing now because teams they have counters to it within the play. You used to have counters before the snap, but now within the play they have counters to you playing too fast or guessing. So now it's just mostly it's about the effort. Guys have to run to the ball and just finish plays. Also, a big thing that I've noticed about the change in football is just tackling. You have to tackle guys in space now. Like tackling guys in open space changes games. Especially with like I said, the run pass option. Guys catch the ball in the numbers. Hey, either you get him down for a gain of 3, or he breaks your tackle and is up to 12. So the defensive player, you have to be willing to adjust within the play, and you have to be a great tackler.
One of the focuses of spring camp and then against the fall was on tackling, kind of the fundamentals. Can you talk about what you've seen and what you've seen in the defense play?
Right, yeah. So we did emphasize throughout spring and fall practice just tackling as a whole group. So I've seen improvement from each position group as far as that. We kind of work drills every day to try to improve our tackling. But you have seen growth. Like anything, when you emphasize something, you're going to see results. So I just am excited. I'm proud of this, how far we've come. Even myself from the spring to now, I'm just excited to see that final product.
Time for maybe one or two more questions.
I just have, I would say, top 15 play by your starters and maybe a few of the reserves. Who do you think are the hardest hitters on the defense?
Jacob Mangum-Farrar, he's a very explosive guy. I think he jumped like a 37-inch vertical, but you can see it when he plays. He hits hard, he plays fast, and he just runs to the ball, man. So I'm excited to see him on Saturday. And then probably Curtis Robinson. He made that switch from outside backer to ill, so he's used to a lot of contact every play, being an outside backer, making that switch to inside linebacker. Just brings an extra air. He's a big body in there, a bigger body than our usual inside backers, and he just comes and lays hat too.
And just one last question. You don't know which quarterback you're going to face. Does that mean you have to spend extra time in the film room?
Yeah, like I said before, it just means I have to be really dialed in on my job, as in I have to be an expert at what I'm doing and just react off what he's doing, because like I said, like usually we have a couple games to watch a guy and see like what their tendencies are, like what their throwing motion is, or what their shoulders do when they're throwing deep balls, or like what their eye progression is. But like I said, now I kind of don't have any of that. I kind of just am guessing on what's gonna happen. So mostly it's just being really dialed in on my job, getting the defense really dialed in as a job, as a unit, and just playing football. We've all played football for a numerous number of years now, so now it's just about playing football and just doing what you love doing.
Thanks, Malik.
Thank you.